Okay, we'll look at fun with construction and how to work with equations. I'll just right click on the tab there and insert a new page. Now the equation tool is down here on the tools bar. It's that one right there. I simply click on it and click to drop it on the screen. I'll line it up with my lines on the page just to make it nice and neat and even. Okay. Now first of all, when you double click on the axis, this dialog box pops up. Okay, we can set the axis to a first quadrant if we want to. I'll double click again and we'll set it back to center. Actually, you can change it to custom and you can choose your XY intercepts using these values here. Okay, back to center, and there it is, centered again. If we double click and go to the graph tab, what we can do is we can add an equation. Okay, I'm going to make say a sine curve, select sine, click here to put in the box. Now actually I'll delete this x. The proper way to do it is to place brackets and the x afterwards. Okay, I'll click add. Oh, there we go, it comes up the top there. Now if I click OK, that's the first one I added, and here's the sine curve here. We'll double click again. Now what we can do is we can choose one of these, and we can also do intervals. I can display the shaded region under the graph, and I can choose an interval from say -1 to 1. Okay, if I click OK, it'll show the graph there, and I can also shade the interval. I'll go back here and I'll calculate, for this one here, I'm showing the interval, and if I show the area from the same, -1 to 1, I'll even calculate, I'll make it yellow, and calculate the area. So there we go, it shows that region there, and there's the calculation. Okay, so this is one way to put an equation into the axis, by double clicking and going to the graph tab. Now of course this is a good way to do any of these type of functions here. But there's another way of doing it, and I'm just going to turn the advanced functionality on. Okay, take a note of this, come to the display tab, click on mouse click. Now I'm just going to check all of these advanced functionality boxes, just to show you the whole lot of the functionality. Click OK. So now we've set it up. What I'll do before I do this, I'll double click and just remove both of those equations so we've got a clean graph to work with. Now once I've turned the advanced functionality on, I can draw a line on the page just using my line tool up top left there. If I want to, I can drop that onto the graph, and when I click on it, I'll get all of the XY intercepts and the angle to the XY axis, and if it was a quadratic I'll get the turning point as well. Okay, I'll just close that. I can also take a line and I can drag it off, and it'll give me the equation of the line onto the page. Okay, another thing we can do, another way of adding the equation, is to come up here to the Insert tab, on the Equation button. Now this opens up our equation editor. I'm just going to type y equals. Okay, I'm going to click here on the Script tab. I want an x squared, so it's going to be this template here. I'll just click on it. I'll just type in x, click in the small box, squared, click beside the equation to move on. I'll put minus and then 3. Okay, so we've made an equation. I'll close it. It drops it there on the page. I can now take that equation, drag it onto the axis. Notice the axis turns orange, and let it go. Right, so now we can get, I'll put this one down here. So now we can get all of the, put that one up there, and this one down here. There we go. A little bit further down. Okay, so now we can get all of the equations and the intercepts as well. Okay. Right, I'll just click back on the axis, and now I can close those boxes. Okay. Close that up. Right, so this is one thing you can do with an axis. And there's two ways, just to recap, two ways of putting an equation on the axis. Double click it and use the graph tab to type it in yourself. Or on the Insert tab up here, use the Equation Editor tool to type in your quadratic equation. Okay, now that's not all you can do with the axis. If you've got an axis, you can actually work manually as well. If I come to the Ink tab, there's a Mark tool. I can drop it down, and that little cross there, choose cross. I can now put crosses. Now these aren't actually going onto the axis. There's an important note. The axis is simply behind it. So see, I can move the axis there. So you're actually just using the axis here as a guide. Okay. Unfortunately, there's no way of actually telling what that point there is on the axis. This is just totally manual. And if I was doing a line of best fit, I could then, of course, draw a line through there. Okay. Let me just uncheck this one. Okay. Oops. I'm just going to go to the Advanced tab and uncheck the drop line to axis, because I want to actually draw a line over the top of the axis. There we go. Okay, so just note these are not actually placed on the axis. We're just putting lines, and also using the Mark tool, putting crosses or circles or squares on top of the axis. Okay, that is opposed to what we've done over here on the left, where we actually take a line and drag it and drop it on the axis. Now it is actually placed on the axis. So remember to drag lines to the axis, and also to drag equations to and from the axis. What you need to do is double click on it, go to display, and turn on all of the advanced functionality, as I've got it here. Okay, so this is just a very quick overview about putting equations on the axis. Okay, if you've got some more questions, please just contact me. There we go. There's the email address. So any questions on the software, just send me an email, and I'll shoot you off an answer as soon as I can. Thank you.